Look, I'm a geek as much as the next person, but all the love I have for the show is for the covers they make and all of the heartfelt scenes. But other than that, the show is pretty controversial. Funny enough, that's what my speech is about today. First off, I want to talk about Mr. Shu, the instructor of the Glee Club. Mr. Shu has done a bunch of questionable things, but showing the Glee kids how to twerk as a lesson in the Glee Club was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on the show to date. Personally, I feel like this relates to ethos in a way because the Glee kids are only doing it because Mr. Shu is telling them to. Plus, he has authority over them. Yet another crazy thing Mr. Shu did was accuse a football player of possession of drugs just to get them in the Glee Club. I honestly feel like Mr. Shu was pretty desperate to get that one person in the Glee Club, if you ask me. It's also hard to forget the time Mr. Shu had a Glee kid only wear gold shorts in a school play. And if you can't tell me that's not weird, I'm concerned. But the most messed up thing is when Mr. Shu was trying to prove a point to the Glee Club, but he ended up doing a really offensive performance, which was him doing all the Spanish stereotypes. It was so bad that one of the Glee kids had to tell him how offensive it was. Mr. Shu was basically trying to use pathos to talk to the Glee Club, but really ended up just sounding like ethos. The next topic, I'll be breaking down all the very offensive slash racist things people were called or things that were done in the show. The first reasoning of this topic is when Tina Cohen Chang was the lead singer singing Gangnam Style at regionals. You might be thinking, it doesn't sound that bad until you realize they could have had anyone else sing it. But also, the actor who played Tina seemed bothered when her singing Gangnam Style was brought up in a podcast. The next thing that would be controversial is Sue, the cheerleading coach, because she's always bullying the students by calling them names that aren't so nice. That was a pun, get it? But anyway, Sue called people names like Asian and the other Asian, sandbags, and shaft. Sue is not the only person calling people rude names. Some of the other Glee members made names for each other that included body shaming and comparing each other to other large animals. That last sentence could be taken as the Glee kids using pathos against each other, but not in a good way at all. They're making fun of each other with these nicknames, which could hit deeper than expected. This last paragraph, I couldn't really categorize the upcoming controversial things, but here I go into the first one. We all know the main character and singer of the Glee Club, Rachel. Obviously favorited, by the way. But what people don't remember is when Rachel sent a girl that auditioned for the Glee Club to a crack house. Just because of the fact that Rachel didn't want anyone better than her being in the Glee Club. For a show about teenagers in high school, there's sure to be a lot of drugs involved in the show. But the next story is definitely something, alright? So a little backstory to this story is there was a boy versus girl sing-off in the Glee Club, and Mr. Shu's ex-wife gave both teams decongestions to help them with their energy. It definitely worked. It's just that they had way too much energy to the point where their performances were so extra and hyper. Yet again, I feel like in this text, ethos was used because the Glee Club trusted Mr. Shu's ex-wife when she gave them the drug because it was his wife. And also, you wouldn't think an adult, especially someone you know, would give you a drug that would hurt you. This last controversial topic is when this one guy, Finn, outed Santana that she was a lesbian. So it all started off with Santana calling Finn a bunch of rude names. But it made sense because that's her character in the show. But then Santana walked away after calling Finn all those rude names. Then Finn said back to Santana, and I quote, "Hey Santana, why don't you just come out of the closet already in the middle of the hallway?" After Finn said that, he started saying a bunch of other very hurtful things that definitely hurt Santana a lot. But later in that episode, Santana was performing a mashup of A Rumor Has It with Somebody Like You. And during the performance, Santana thought she saw Finn whispering into Rachel's ear, and Santana thought he was telling her about what happened in the hallway. But actually, he was telling Rachel on how good he thought Santana was doing during that number. But before Finn could explain to Santana what he was saying, Santana slapped him across the face in front of everybody. Santana actually almost got suspended for stopping Finn, but Finn went along with Santana's story because he felt bad about what happened in the hallway before. Then obviously in the end he apologized to Santana, which I think it's also a heartfelt moment about what happened. I feel like that whole story was an example of pathos just because it could be taken as in a very emotional story about what happened to Santana and how she was outed by Finn in the hallways. As you can tell from my speech, you may see how messed up things are in the show, but would you personally watch it after I just explained a lot of the things that went down? My intentions of this speech topic was not to bring down the show because I actually like the show. Like in the beginning of the speech, how I said I love the show for the covers and all the heartfelt moments with each character. I simply just wanted to bring light into some of the nasty things that were said and that can really hurt someone emotionally. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed my speech on why I personally think Glee would get tons of backlash if it were made in 2021. I just wanted to give a very special ending to this speech, so I'm gonna go for it. And that's what you missed on.